These are 8 players you need to trade away now in fantasy football before it's too late. Starting at number 8, it's Christian McCaffrey. I'm worried about this calf Achilles tendonitis injury just because there's so many question marks in terms of when is Christian McCaffrey coming back. It might be this week. It might not be. We really don't know. And then when he does come back, what does his usage look like? What is the chance of re-injuring or making the injury worse, tearing his Achilles potentially? Like, Jordan Mason looked really good in week 1. Is it going to be a 50-50? Is it going to be a 60-40 split? Like, is Christian McCaffrey not going to be this volume king that he once was? Because San Francisco has been so close to winning a Super Bowl the last couple of years. They obviously want to preserve their best player in offense, make sure that he's going to be healthy when it matters the most. So I just don't see a world where once CMC comes back, that he's this workhorse, they're going to run him into the ground type of player like he's been in the past, especially with now that they know what they have in Mason. Like, what if this is a 60-40 split? And then you just, every single play, you're just going to be holding your breath. Is he going to re-injure that calf? Could he potentially tear his Achilles? Could he miss the rest of the year if this injury gets worse? Is he going to go on IR for 4 games? Like, there's just so many question marks and so much risk involved that, like, what if he tweaks it and then they're like, no, we're going to shut him down for the next 8 weeks? Like, there's just a lot of negatives with this situation. I get it's Christian McCaffrey. I don't like victory lapping. I think it's corny, especially after 1 week. But my concerns this offseason was what's happening right now. This calf injury, his age, his previous usage. I was out on Christian McCaffrey at the 101 all offseason. And it's unfortunate. If Christian McCaffrey is on your team, it doesn't hurt to see how your league mates feel about him, what you could potentially get, what does the market look like in terms of a trade. At least feel it out. I'm not saying just get rid of Christian McCaffrey. Like, don't sell him low. Like, he's still Christian McCaffrey. He could still come back this week and be the CMC that we know, right? So that is a possibility. So if you are thinking about trading him, you got to get good value in return because he was likely your first overall pick. So don't sell him for scraps. Make sure that someone's still paying up. And if no one in your league is willing to pay up for Christian McCaffrey, for what he's still potentially able to do, then hold him on your team. But it's a sticky situation. It's an unfortunate situation. And it's just not ideal overall. At number 7, Rachaad White. Here's the deal. White was so good in fantasy last year because of the crazy volume that he saw, the usage that he got, the receptions that he had, the red zone opportunities. Like, he had 336 touches on the year, which was second to only Christian McCaffrey last year. Tampa Bay did not trust any other running back on that roster. Like, you had to pay the Bucs to put any other back out on the field that was not named Rachaad White, and that's just not going to be the case this year. Like, we already saw it in week 1. The Bucs drafted running back Bucky Irving in the 4th round, who looked really good in his season debut with 9 carries for 62 yards, 6.9 yards per carry, compared to Rachaad White, who had 15 carries for 31 yards, 2.1 yards per carry. So it's already looking like Irving is the more efficient back on the ground through only 1 week, let alone it being his first NFL game. And Irving's 3.1 yards per play in college last year ranked top 5 in the class. This is a really good running back. Rachaad still obviously saw his workhorse role in week 1 with a 70% snap rate, 21 touches, 106 total yards. And while that all looks nice and dandy, compared to last year, that's not great. Because White saw a 70% snap share only 1 time last season. That is absolutely insane. That tells you how crazy, ridiculous of a role that White had. And it's just not going to continue. Yes, he still looked good in the passing game. I believe he had 6 catches for 75 yards. Like, he's still going to be solid because of what he does through the air. But you're not going to be able to count on him on the ground anymore. He might miss out on red zone goal line touches to Irving. It's going to be a little bit hit or miss. It could be a little bit more inconsistent on a weekly basis. So you like what he gives you in the passing game, like I said, but he's not going to have this insane usage. We've already saw a 70-30 split with a rookie running back, and that was week 1. I would not be surprised if this is closer to 60-40 as soon as week 2. So if you can get really good value for White, I would absolutely take it now. At number 6, Kyren Williams. Well, the Blake Corum truthers out there were really quiet after week 1, and I was kind of one of them, as Blake Corum did not see a single snap, but we know that that's not going to continue. Sean McVay even said in an interview after the game that wasn't the plan. We didn't want to give Kyren Williams 91% of the snaps. Like, that's crazy usage, and it's going to even out. Blake Corum is going to get on the field, and Kyren is not going to see this type of insane usage every single game. On top of that, the Rams just lost 3 of their starting offensive linemen. 2 of the 3 guys have been put on IR, meaning that they're going to miss the next 4 games. So this offensive line through 1 week is already a mess, which is going to affect the entire offense, obviously the run game and the pass game. And Kyren just didn't look that good in week 1. He had 18 carries for 50 yards. Yes, he got into the end zone, but 2.8 yards per carry. He had 3 catches, which is nice, but for 4 yards. So I would be selling Kyren after an inefficient performance. We know Blake Corum is going to get more involved. Sell him on the fact that he saw 91% of snaps, and sell him on the fact that Blake Corum didn't sniff the field, right? Like, this is a perfect spot to get Kyren off your back just because he didn't look that great. Blake Corum will be involved, and the offensive line is already extremely banged up. I'm also worried just for the fact that, like, Matthew Stafford, it seems like he gets hurt or dinged up every single game. He's an older quarterback. Yes, he plays through injuries. He's a warrior. But when is enough going to be enough? When is he going to suffer that one injury that he can't just shake off? Like, he seems like he gets crushed and then he's just like, fine. Like, when is it going to be too much where if he what I'm trying to say is if Stafford ever misses extended time, this offense would be toast. This offense would be horrible if Stafford is not out on the field. They wouldn't be able to move the football. And yeah, you could say that for any quarterback, right? I'm just saying this because of how banged up this offensive line is. The protection's not going to be great. Stafford has an extensive injury history. He always seems to be hurt. He always seems to be dealing with something on top of being an older quarterback. Like, I just don't have a good feeling. So I'm not saying sell all your Rams players, but for Kyren's sake, I would not mind getting rid of him if you can sell him high. At number 5, Davante Adams. All my concerns that I had for Adams this offseason were validated in week 1. And yes, it was only 1 week. This could completely turn this upcoming Sunday, but Adams finished as the wide receiver 37 and was out-targeted by rookie tight end Brock Bowers, 7-6 in terms of targets on a slow, boring, run-heavy, uncreative offense that only managed 10 points against average at best Chargers defense. Davante is going to be 32 years old in December. He doesn't have a good quarterback. He's not on a good offense. And now he has the most target competition that he's had since he's been in Vegas with Brock Bowers, who is a really talented tight end, who is playing pretty much wide receiver. It's just not a good situation. So if someone still thinks Adams is going to be good entering his age 32 season, they want to buy him on name value, they don't care about week 1, or they're not worried about Brock Bowers or Gardner Minshew at quarterback or this offense that's stale, slow, and boring, then I would gladly give them Davante for someone really good in return. At number 4, J.K. Dobbins. If you drafted Dobbins or got him off the waiver wire, kudos to you. He was one of my waiver wire pickups, but that doesn't mean you can't turn around and trade him for really good value, right? Like, getting these guys on the waiver wire isn't just like, oh, now he's stuck on my team. Use it as trade bait if you feel necessary. If someone's giving you really good value, like, I have no problem checking out the market in your league for Dobbins. If someone thinks he's going to be this top 12, top 15 back the rest of the season, then I would 100% sell high. Remember, Dobbins is coming off a torn Achilles and has an extensive injury history that includes a torn hamstring, a torn ACL, and they're all on the right side of his body. They're all on the right leg, which is even more concerning because how long is this leg going to hold up? I just don't think Dobbins is going to make it through the entire season completely healthy. Like, he got off to a hot start, but like, do we think this is going to continue for the next 5-8 games? I don't. I don't see him staying healthy. You saw him on those breakaway runs. Yes, there's some explosiveness, but like, he started petering out. He got tackled from behind. Like, that might all improve or it might not. Like, he's had so many gruesome injuries. I just don't think that Dobbins is going to be this revelation this year. I would sell him at his absolute peak, which is right now. At number 3, Stefon Diggs had an amazing Texans debut from a bird's eye view. But if you zoom in, he is a screaming sell. Diggs was 3rd on the team in target share behind Nico Collins and Tank Dell with 18.8%, along with a horrible 1.3 ADOT average depth of target, and he had 9 total air yards. 9. I know we don't really care about air yards that much, but when you have 9, that's telling you something, especially when both Nico and Dell had over 100 air yards each. Like, Stefon's usage in week 1, it just offers little upside and value when it comes to racking up fantasy points because he's got these low value, short receptions that typically don't lead to much, especially when you're an older wide receiver that already is lacking explosiveness. Yes, he had 2 touchdowns, and that's very nice to see, but we know TDs are not a sticky stat, especially when you're on a loaded Houston Texans offense that has a ton of options in the red zone. So Diggs is clearly the number 3 option in this passing game. I'd be selling him now as he just came off a 2-touchdown game. It's all looking good. He's the hot commodity in Houston. If someone still believes in the name value of Diggs, who's coming off a big game, who doesn't really look deeper into the numbers, then they can gladly take your Stefon Diggs share for a really nice piece in return. At number 2, Jameson Williams finally had that big blow-up breakout game that we've been waiting for 4 years now. 5 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown on 9 targets, 24.4 fantasy points. But I don't think that this is going to continue whatsoever. Like, his big day came at the expense of his 2 better teammates in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta, who had a combined 7 catches for 58 yards combined. That likely will never happen again this season. He out-targeted Amon-Ra St. Brown. That likely will never happen again this year. So it's just that Williams is just going to be this very boom bust option. Yes, he's exciting. Yes, he's fast. Yes, he's explosive. But, like, he's still competing for targets on a really good offense. He might be the 4th option behind Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs. So this is another guy that, like, sell him high now. Because will he have another blow-up game like this? Sure. Will this be a consistent thing? No. And I already saw in practice, he's dealing with ankle injuries. Like, I just don't think Jameson Williams is anything special. I just can't see a world where he's out-targeting Amon-Ra St. Brown on this loaded offense. Like, if he was the number 1 option, then yeah, I'd be like, oh yeah, buy him, go all in. But he's just not. He's probably the 4th option, like I said. So I'm not convinced. This likely won't continue on a consistent basis. And at number 1, Isaiah Likely, another guy that's coming off a monster performance in week 1. 9 catches, 111 yards, touchdown on 26.1 fantasy points, 12 targets, 29% target share, 3.58 yards per route run. But if you watch the tape, it was evident that all Kansas City really cared about on defense was taking away their best player in the passing game, and that is still Mark Andrews, as they were doubling him, bracketing him. Like, they were doing everything possible to eliminate Andrews. Andrews historically always plays really bad against Kansas City. Yes, Likely had that really impressive longer touchdown, but outside of that, like, these were just little check downs where he happened to be open in the flat. Like, it's just, I don't think it's sustainable. Will he still be a big part of this Baltimore Ravens offense? Yes. Is it going to be extremely lopsided between Likely and Andrews? No. Is Likely the new tight end 1 on Baltimore? Absolutely not. There's going to be games where Likely disappears and Andrews is dominant, and potentially vice versa, but it's going to be hard to predict. It's going to be very inconsistent. It's similar to Jameson Williams. Like, it's not going to be this Likely as a top 5 tight end every single week. Absolutely not. So sell guys at their peak, especially when their success came at the expense of the better, more talented player on that offense at the same position, which is Mark Andrews. So sell Likely, especially if you can get the house for him. If someone in your league really needs a tight end. So sell Isaiah high if you can. I think it would be really smart. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, if you took away anything from the video, if you could please like this video. We're not getting enough likes on the channel. A lot of comments, but I would appreciate it if you could leave a like and also subscribe. It helps me out more than you know. and I will see you in the next one.